Hi, everybody. My name is Richard Lesperance. I go by the name of my man, Richard. Welcome to A Better Lifestyle. Today I have Brandon Steiner with me. So it's pretty hectic, a little bit the schedule, but we're here. So Brandon is a sports marketer. He's a marketing genius, and he has worked with a lot of great athletes that in the sports industry. So I think you're gonna like this episode. So please, Brian, tell a little bit more about who is Brian Sterner.
Brandon Steiner I'm a marketer, sports marketing, love Canada, love hockey. Started my first company with hockey. We have a marketplace, which is important for people to know that I'm not with Steiner Sports, but I'm with Collectible Xchange. And the marketplace enables you to buy and sell. So we have 150,000 items on there. And also I have a company called Star Stock, which has over 1 million cards on there, trading cards. And you can put your trading cards on there to buy and sell. We have a vault to hold your cards. And then if you have a bunch of cards, you don't know what they're worth, we help you kind of value it, get the cards graded, and help you sell them, or at least be able to encapsulate them so you can protect what you collect. And then I've been booking athletes for the last 40 years now. Wow, it's incredible that I can even say that. But I started booking talent back in 1987, and been just rock and rolling, helping other companies grow, using athletes and sports to help their companies grow. You probably see different promotions in Canada and the US, with Gretzky, Messier. If you sort of remember Messier with the Subway commercial, stuff like that. We do stuff like that all the time.
So who are some of the athletes that you've worked with? You said Messi, but who are some of the athletes?
So many: Messier, Jeter, Mariano Rivera, Eli Manning, Scott Rowland just got into the Hall of Fame. You name them. I mean, there's hundreds of athletes. We've been doing this forever and a day. So especially if you're at the baseball, hockey, those have always been my prime sports. But we obviously do a lot with basketball and football as well.
So how did you get into that industry, like sports marketer and all that?
Well, I was in the sports restaurant business, and then and met so many athletes. Now, back in the 80s, there weren't a lot of sports bars. Now everybody's got a sports bar. But back in the 80s, there really weren't restaurants with TVs and watching games. And when I had one of the first sports bars in New York, and I met a lot of athletes, and it looked like they needed help. So I started helping them with their fan mail. I started helping them with their charity, and then started making money, doing collectibles, doing appearances, and stuff like that.
And I know you had Steiner Sports. Can you talk to us about that?
I mean, Steiner Sports I built, is really one of the first big collectible companies. I started that in 1987. That got sold. I sold that twice. And now I have Collectible Xchange. I mean, it's never too late to get going. I mean, I started these companies 4 years ago, and we're rock and rolling. It's been amazing. I love building stuff, and that's exactly what I'm doing here with Collectible Xchange.
And also, you have a Steiner agency.
Yeah, the Steiner agency is the agency that I've had really since the beginning, which is just really helping companies grow using athlete talent, hiring them to speak, PR tours, promote, market products, show up at a Little League function. It could be anything. I booked thousands and thousands of appearances with athletes over the last 35 years. I mean, from Magic Johnson, Muhammad Ali, Wayne Gretzky, Mark Messier, you name it.
And who was your first client?
Well, it's kind of difficult to answer that, but I would say that Mark Messier is one of my first big clients on the overall business. And then, Phil Rizzuto, Otis Anderson were some of my first clients on the marketing end as well. There's a couple firsts in there, but certainly Messier would be one of my first. Phil Rizzuto, Otis Anderson, Jeter, kind of my first as well. All happened around the same time.
And how was the process of approaching these athletes?
It's difficult. I tell people all the time, like that's a common question, and thank you for asking. How do you get started? How do you meet these kind of people? How do you develop these relationships? And I think it's true in every important relationship in your life. Value, when you see something that you want, a piece of business that you want, a person you want to work with, you got to think about value. Value is what you can do for someone that they can't do for themselves. So, when I meet these people or I think about working with them, I think about what's the value proposition. And I'm thinking about not what I get from them, but what I could do for them. So the way I get started is I try to meet them, see what they got going on, see where they need help and where I could serve them and what I could do for them that could make their life a little easier. And then after I get that rolling, maybe there's some business to be done together.
It can be hard for a regular person to have that thought because they're probably thinking like they have everything, they have the resources. So why would they need me? Like, what can I offer?
Well, first of all, we're all regular people. We're all pretty ordinary, by the way, just as an FYI. I mean, every now and then, we're all ordinary. We do something extraordinary, but we're all pretty ordinary and pretty normal. The question is, again, don't worry about what you can get. Don't worry about what you need. Try to look at relationships and situations that you want to get into and think about what you can do for that person. Sometimes helping them with their charity, sometimes just helping them cross the street, whatever it is. Everybody needs a little help. I've never met anyone that doesn't need a little help. My job is to figure out what help they need and get it. And believe me, it comes in all shapes and sizes. But everyone, no matter how big they are, celebrity, this, that, everybody needs a little support and help. And if you can figure out a value proposition, you're halfway home.
That's a lot of hustle then.
Well, you got to be you got to be relentless. You got to have some tenacity. You got to make sure you got some hustle. I always say you got to earn your keep. If you want to have a relationship, the goal is not only to start and have a relationship, but you got to keep it. And the way you do that is by earning your keep. The way you do that is the little things. You do the little things that you can, that that the person you have a relationship with needs, and they'll never throw you away.
I heard in one of your podcasts you were talking about like the journey of the entrepreneur, like to be extraordinary or successful. It is a marathon, not a sprint.
Well, listen, I think it's a growth process. It's kind of like when you were a kid, you were thinking, how tall am I going to be? And you'd go up against the wall and you try, oh man, I grew another inch, but you weren't growing on a day-to-day basis. You go, you measure up, you're hoping, if you're into basketball, you're hoping you're going to be over 6 foot, depending on what you were trying to dream of and think of, but you're definitely worried that you were not going to grow. But the key to business and the key to getting to an extraordinary level is being a rose. What is your rate of self-efficiency? Your rate of self-growth is so important. And if every day you're working on growth, even though you may not always feel it, you'll be smarter, you'll be better, and then eventually you'll be noticed. I think that things that move people are people that are growing, that are getting better at what they're doing, and then they're trying to present value. When you know what you're doing, you're presenting value, it's tough to walk away from you. It's not a day-to-day proposition. I always say Rome wasn't built in a day, but they were working on it every day. And I think that's really the moral of the story. Like, I'm 64 years old and I'm still a work in progress. I mean, I don't feel by any stretch I've earned anything that I deserve, anything going forward. And I don't look back the rest of my laurels. I'm still trying to earn my keep. I go home still trying to earn my keep, hoping my wife is still going to stick around. I mean, I'm still trying to earn my keep in all my most important relationships by creating value and trying to do things that make sense. And I'm still trying to get better at my craft, because the business is changing. The world is moving. Things are being done differently. You're getting older. I'm not as savvy tech-wise, so I've got to keep some young kids around me to make sure they show me how everything works. But I'm not ignoring it. I'm not going to say, oh, I'm not talking about the rotary phone. I'm not sitting here talking about, there used to be parking meters, and I used to take a typewriting class. Nobody cares. You got to be savvy. You got to keep up with the times. You got to get on social media. You got to learn how that works, and not just get on it, but learn how it works. And I know a lot of older people struggle with that, but if you don't get on it, you're going to be extinct, and you're going to not be talking to that many people. And this is where the world is. It's funny, like the most common app on your phone, the number one app on your phone that does not get used. You know what that is? The telephone. Nobody talks to anybody anymore. The telephone. I mean, here you have this iPhone. It's going to have to be called something else because nobody uses the phone. It's the least used app. It's insane. But you got to learn to grow with it. That it's about texting, it's about TikTok, it's about Instagram, it's about instant message, it's about direct message. You have all these other forms of communication, and I think it's all part of the deal. If you really want to be successful and be good at business, this is all part of the deal for you to be effective.
Where do you think that drive comes from?
I think it comes from being curious and make sure when I was a kid that being curious was okay. The enthusiasm came from a little bit of some desperateness. I was a poor kid growing up, so I always felt that I needed urgency. I had to make something happen. Got to go make some money so I could eat, have some clothes to wear. I think a lot of it, you can teach yourself. I mean, you can, by being curious and being a learner, you really create a lot of drive, and you want to learn more, you want to do more as you learn more. So you can be taught. You don't have to be born with it. Sometimes your circumstances will push you forward, but I think you can go and there's a lot of things you can do to create this kind of urgency and enthusiasm. And I think it's really important that you check the volume on your enthusiasm and on your curiosity, because those two things are incredibly necessary. Some people say it's energy, you control your mindset, but it's energy, it's enthusiasm, and it's curiosity. If you're not asking questions about all the different aspects of your life, all the different stuff that's going on in your business, and how you can make it better or how you can do it different, you're going to be left behind. And that's how I am. I'm never satisfied with the way the business is running. I'm never satisfied with how an account is going. I'm always thinking about what else I can do for that account.
On the journey of entrepreneurship, sometimes life happens and, you can get knocked down and be depressed. How do you think people should deal with that and bounce back?
Well, I think first of all, when you hit failure, the first thing you got to do is hit the gratitude button. You got to be thankful. Life is not here to present all just positive, good things for you. And if you're expecting that, you can be very disappointed. You got to get good at that. You got to get good at failure. You got to get good at difficult. Failure is definitely part of the deal. And the way I get through it is, I try to find something that I've learned from it. I try to be grateful that, life kicked my ass. I try to be grateful that, life cared enough about me to beat me up, because I know that I could. I mean, in my mind, I know I could always do better, but I know I'm not going to pitch a perfect game. I know I'm going to make my fair share of mistakes. I'm not happy about them, and it hurts. It's painful. You know what I mean? I'm not going to sit here and say, "Oh, no problem." Failure sucks. Losing is horrible. It's painful, but you have to find gratitude, because in all that, the mistakes and the problems, you probably own some of it. It wasn't like all of a sudden it just got dropped on you. There's some part of that screw up you're responsible for, and you got to learn from that, and you got to do better, and you got to get better. And for me, I try to find gratitude and be thankful for some of the failures, because usually after a failure, that's some of my best work has come around. Some of the best stuff that I've ever done has come after some of the biggest knockdowns. Part of it is motivation, inspiration. Part of it is just being smarter, being sharper. And sometimes that knockdown made me realize a bunch of things that I wasn't thinking about.
Correct me.
That's a good answer, my friend. That's a good answer. Mark that down, put a little circle around what I just said, because, losing's a big thing right now with people. We're all going through a lot. There's a lot of losing going on in the world with the ups and downs. So, getting good at it and understanding where to put that, getting that losing in place is really important. So it's a good question you ask. I just want to emphasize the answer.
Yeah, people are losing every day. So you never know, like the economy goes down, recession, you have this, inflation, all that. So it's a roller coaster sometimes.
Oh, no question. It's more like a sailboat in the middle of the ocean. There are days when it's breezy and you're cruising along, and there are days where it's just dead heat and you can't get anywhere. And then there's the storms. So that's how the life of an entrepreneur is. It's really like being a sailboat in the middle of the ocean. There is no clear path. There are weeks and days that you couldn't be happier, and there are weeks and days when you think you're going to die. All the storms, the rain, and this and that. So you got to be prepared for all kinds of things. And I think if you want to be an entrepreneur, that's where really a lot of people jump off, is the risk and the ups and downs are more severe than if you're just in a normal, regular, everyday job.
Talk to us a little bit about the Yankees, the deal. I think you bought the Yankees stadium. Talk to us about.
Well, I was partners with the Yankees. I built a collectible company with them, and they were extremely awesome to work with. I mean, they're the greatest brand of all time. And I'd gone to them when they decided to build a new stadium and asked them if I could partner up with them to take down the old stadium. And I was able to go and buy the old stadium with the Yankees' help, of course. And I had a different view about how we were going to do that. And the Yankees were really supportive in how we did it. And because they understood that the fans were really emotional about that stadium. And I think it's kind of what I was saying before. Like, if you want to move on, you got to put the past to rest in a really dignified way. That was a really important stadium, one of the greatest stadiums of all time, with some of the most famous things that have ever happened, some of the most famous players, Ruth, Maggio, Yogi, man, go on and on. So to put that stadium to rest needed some delicate and some, I felt like, I put my heart and soul into it so that every Yankee fan could have a little piece, whether it be a seat, a brick, a piece of concrete, something to remember that stadium by. And I love what I did with that process. If you really want to read more about it, my book, You Gotta Have Balls, my mother's favorite line, by the way, is available on Collectible Xchange. It's free. Just pay for the shipping if you want to really read what happened and how I took that stadium apart and everything. It's a great book. You Gotta Have Balls, my favorite out of the 3 books. But just go to Collectible Xchange and you can order the book and just pay for the shipping. But it's worth it because there's some great stories in there about business and about sales.
I think you have other books also. What
Yeah,
you can mention?
Living on Purpose is a book about what it takes to go from really good to extraordinary. And then the Business Playbook is for if you're a young salesperson, a young entrepreneur. That's a great book. How to build your brand, how to get started. All my books have really great snackable nuggets that you can easily put into play. You don't have to be a brain surgeon to go through those books and put that stuff in play, and the stuff works. I just started a new company. I'm using the same principles as I did when I started my first company back in the 90s.
Okay. And talk to us a little bit more about the Collectible Xchange.
Collectible Exchange is just a really big marketplace where you can buy and sell your stuff. We help you get your stuff authenticated, give you the value of what you have, show you how to sell it. We may auction it. We're partnered up with eBay, so the stuff goes on our site. It also goes on eBay. And we really have a great funnel to help you sell. A lot of people are sitting with a lot of collectibles. They don't know what to do with them, or cards. They don't know what to do with them. We just got these cards. Like, you don't know what to do with them. And we help you and we show you how to sell your cards and collectibles. And it's extremely helpful, both sites. So just email in if you have a question. If you have a collectible that you need some advice on or a card, we're happy to help you.
If someone will want to be like a sports marketer, what would you tell them?
I tell them to be really good at business first. Get into the highest level of marketing where you can learn the most from. Sports marketing is it's a specialized type of marketing. It's not for everyone, but if you really want to get into it, I think first you got to be a good marketer, and I think you should get the business foundation set. Getting a good business degree or working for just a really good company that markets and promotes and learning how that works, then you can get into sports marketing.
Best advice that you ever received in regards to life and business?
There's so much. But I think basically it's make sure you're kind. Make sure that you make this world a better place than you found it. If you're going to get into business, make sure your company or business that you got into is better when you left it than when you found it. You make sure that you're getting better. Keep getting better. And be kind. Okay, it's nice to be important, but it's more important to be nice.
Where can people find you on social media or the internet and all the work that
I'm a big LinkedIn guy. So you can go on LinkedIn. You got to follow me because I'm over the limit. Love LinkedIn. I put a lot of content on there. But you can go on my Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and I respond to everything. So if you got a question, don't hesitate. You've been on my social media, I try to put out as much content as I can, and Stay tuned because I am coming out with a fourth book in June, so that's going to be very exciting.
And what's the name of the book?
We don't know yet.
All right. Thanks, Brandon, for being here.
All right, you're welcome.
Although it was hectic, to get connected, but we made it.
Yes.
I was looking forward for that interview. On that note, thank you everybody for taking the time to listen to the podcast. Welcome to A Better Lifestyle. My name is Richard L'Esperance, and I go by the name of my man Richard. And I was with Brandon Steiner, and we'll see you on the next episode, everybody. Bye. Thanks, Brandon.
Thank you, Richard.
No problem.